Well, I think it's an important and a necessary investment in not only communities throughout northern Saskatchewan, but I would say to some degree focused on communities in northern Saskatchewan, as that's where largely our wildfires do present themselves. But also, in many ways, protects all Saskatchewan communities with upgraded aircraft. They're faster, they have a larger payload, and will service Saskatchewan communities better, more efficiently, and will keep Saskatchewan families safer. Where we are today is we have about 5 wildfires that are currently active, but each and every year we have a few hundred. I think it was 500 last year. I think the average is, if I'm not mistaken, is about 350 year in, year out. And so we do need to make these types of investments and keep the aircraft that we have current and ensure that we're keeping communities safe. So necessary investment, and I would say one that we are proud to make and only able to make through the strength of a growing and prosperous economy here in Saskatchewan.
You have a couple of multi-role aircraft as well. You have 2 tankers coming and 2 tanker multi-role, which I guess can take evacuees, transport.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that would be a new service that is not really available with the current planes that we have, the Convair 580s, where we're actually able to, in addition to use these planes as a bomber, but to also use them as a transport plane to transport, yes, as you said, evacuees, people that may be injured, maybe on a stretcher, but also to drop and to get some of our wildfire ground crew into a location as quickly as possible. And so, a new and added service, I think, with this investment will be the ability to transport significant numbers of people in the plane on a very short notice.
$187 million. It's going to be a long summer. It's going to be a dry summer. It's going to be a hot summer. But I imagine this kind of money isn't spent without reason. For the average taxpayer, where are they getting their bang for the buck?
You should be a weatherman.
When our weather guy's sick, I
Oh, do you? Well, we'll see how accurate you are. Hey, listen, we need to prepare not only for this summer, that, as you say, in many parts of Western Canada is off to a drier start. We were appreciative and thankful for the moisture and snow and rain we had this past week, which will be helpful. We'll need more. But this is an investment that, as I said, is just not about this summer or next summer, but is about the longer term and the next number of decades and keeping our communities safe. And so it's, as I say, more capacity, faster aircraft, dual purpose, as Wayne had mentioned, being able to transport folks into a disaster area and transfer evacuees out, and will serve, I think, Saskatchewan communities and Saskatchewan families for the next number of decades.
The Prime Minister's in the province. I was just wondering if you had any advance notice or any attempts at a meeting.
Yeah. No, we were notified yesterday. No opportunity for a meeting or to participate in the announcement, which is somewhat disappointing. However, in saying that, we had our schedule booked as well with this announcement and other things that we're doing. We don't wait for a call from the Prime Minister to meet with them or to go take a photo with them. I understand the announcement, I was just informed, is on the virtual health hub, of which we worked with Whitecap Dakota community, Dr. Menendez as well for a number of months, if not a few years now, and the province is part of that funding agreement and announcement as well. And so I suppose with not having the offer to participate in today's announcement, we'll do a provincial announcement at some time in the future. But I appreciate the Prime Minister being in the province, and welcome him to the province. I appreciate him and his government making an investment in a virtual health hub that will not only serve the people of Dakota Whitecap, but will virtually serve people in many rural and remote communities. And really appreciate the initiative of the leadership at Dakota and Dr. Menendez for putting this initiative forward, coming to the provincial government for a third of the funding. I think we have about $9 million committed to this project. But then also working with the provincial government to access the federal government, and ultimately we do appreciate the funding that's flowing on that item. It's one of the positives, I think, in the budget.
When it comes to the relationship between the province and Ottawa right now, I don't think this is the first time that
No.
less than 24 hours before the Prime Minister was coming to town or coming to the province.
Yeah.
I guess what does that really say about view the relationship that exists right now between
Yeah.
yourself and?
Well, I would turn that. It's not only Saskatchewan that doesn't receive a heads up or an invitation to sit down with the Prime Minister on his visit. You hear, the very same comments from other premiers across Canada as well. And so, my perspective is it's a disappointing relationship. We have a federal government that is coming into a province, making an announcement for 2/3 of a project, of which the province is the other third, and there's no invitation extended to that province and no advance notice. We had no advance notice that this was the announcement until it was public. All of that is really petty conversation. We need to do better, and I would say the federal government needs to do better as well as they attempt to have a much more productive relationship with not just the province of Saskatchewan, but I would say many other provinces across the nation. And if they choose not to, we'll likely find ourselves in a situation in Canada where they'll be replaced and there will be an administration that will choose to. We do need good federal-provincial relations in order to advance our opportunities collectively as Canadians from coast to coast to coast. That's what we truly believe and continue to believe.
Premier, is the province going to do anything specific for remote First Nations up in the north to deal with the potential for wildfires this season? Anything specific for them?
Yeah, well, this would be part of it. Bringing our fire crews back 2 weeks early this year would be part of that as well. And I would also say that the wildfire crew that we got, both ground and air tankers that we have, serve our province very well. Many of them are full-time, year-round. Many of them are, and I forget the precise class, but are folks that are trained to be present in the summer should we need them. And so we do have a significant amount of reserve wildfire human resources. And I think what's most beneficial is they are folks that live in our northern communities, often where the fires are occurring. So they understand, fire from a very young age, and really are able to respond not only from their experience, but respond in defense of their very own community as well. And so we have a pretty robust system here in the province with a large number of reserve human resources that are available, and I would say are very, very effective in addition to the aerial fleets that we have. And so we shouldn't discount the capacity that we have. And then I would say in addition to that, the Northwest Compact agreement that we have that really allows us in years of lower fire numbers in Saskatchewan to lend our resources to other jurisdictions, whether it be provinces or states. And I think we saw some of that last summer, if I'm not mistaken. Likewise, when we need additional resources, if they're available, we're able to access those resources and bring them in. And so the power of that Northwest Fire Compact is really beneficial for all that are signatory to it, states and provinces, including ours.
I'm just curious about what's happening in terms of getting the message out about fire prevention to people, because we know a lot of the wildfires are human caused.
That's a great question, because a large number of our wildfires are human caused. And as we see, people like myself that like to go into, our province's north and wash our fish hooks off, and hopefully a fish would grab onto it. We're up and we're moving around in our province's north. Quads are largely a lot more, are used much more than maybe they were 10 or 15 years ago. All of that human activity and humans being up and enjoying the great northern part of the province that we have, there is a risk of starting wildfires, and a large number of our wildfires are human caused. And so we do have a Fire Smart and a fire prevention program, but I was just thinking on the way over here as well, that's something that we constantly need to have a look at as more people look to experience the beautiful environment that we have in Saskatchewan, to ensure that we are always communicating what the best practices are so that we don't have a large number of human caused fires. And if you look at where we really had challenges in Canada last year was northeastern British Columbia, northwestern Alberta, where they didn't receive the June and July rainfalls that we did. A large number of those fires were human caused as well, and they were quite devastating for many, many communities. We've seen that in Saskatchewan in years gone by, so there's some work to do in that space. There is some work being done, but I think there's an opportunity for a broader discussion there as well.
Maybe some well-placed billboards in some of the tourist areas up there?
Yeah, maybe even more than that. It is about education and advertising and inviting people to enjoy the great environment that we have, not only in northern Saskatchewan, but across the province, but to do so in a safe manner, whether that be in the quad or the vehicle that you're driving, or whether it be in the campfire that you might be starting, that you're doing so in a safe manner, not putting people in communities at risk by starting a wildfire.
all good things are worth waiting for, but in an emergency, people don't often like to wait. The first aircraft comes in 2025.
Yeah.
The full fleet by 2027.
Yeah.
Is that a point of concern at all? Are we hoping to speed that up at any point in the process?
Well, that's as quickly as they're able to be built. That's the agreement that we've signed, so that's likely what it will be. And as I said, we do have our Convair 580s. We've had most of them for close to 2 decades now. They're nearing the end of their lifespan, and as we discussed, as we look ahead, I think we are going to need as much or more capacity, and some dual-purpose capacity as well. And so, always nice to have them immediately, but always, I say, equally nice to ensure that we have a plan in place to replace the fleet that we have. It's a structured plan, and not only from a payment perspective, because it is almost a $200 million investment, but also from being able to engage with Canadian companies to provide us with the aircraft that you see behind us, which I think is going to deliver a very, very reasonable service to Saskatchewan residents.
What do you plan to do with the Convair?
I don't know that yet. I remember when we had bought a few new CL-215Ts, and I'm trying to remember the plane that they had replaced, the skimmer, the dipper plane that they had replaced. Somebody will know. Do you remember?
Something similar.
And I think one of those ended up in the Air Museum in Saskatoon. And so, no discussions on what would happen to the 580s. If there's some value there, I think we would look to ensure that we are extracting that value on behalf of taxpayers in the province. But for the immediate term, they're going to be used until we take delivery of the rest of these planes.
Would you offer one to a museum, perhaps?
Well, we'll see what the value of them is, and I don't know the answer to that question. If they're worth a few $1 million, I think we're going to take the few $1 million and put it towards the purchase price of these new aircraft.
Why go with a sole source contract on this?
Well, this is the product that works for Saskatchewan. It's a durable plane. It's a Canadian-built plane, and ultimately, it's about buying the product that works for our fire fleet. And so, there isn't a lot of people in this space. There are some, but there isn't a lot of people in this space. And when you look at the, what this plane can do for us, where it's built, where it can be serviced, how it can be serviced, what the long-term opportunities are around service length, durability of the plane, serviceability of the plane, there isn't a lot of options that match the agreement that we have with Conair.
If you wanted to hop in one of these things and go to Saskatoon to see the Prime Minister, how fast do you think you'd get there?
600 some kilometers an hour. They said you can go. I have to go to question period.